Welcome back. Let's continue from where we left off in the previous lesson. So previously what we did was from steps 41 all the way to 60, and in this one we want to work our way from 61 hopefully all the way to 80. Okay, so let's get started. So as a reminder, this is the final project that we are working on building, and so far this is what we have. So we've already added in the basic shapes that we need. We just need to make it better as we progress. So let's continue. So for 61, what we want to do is we want to remove the background color property and value from BB3, since we are already using gradients as the background now. So we'll just take this one away and continue. Now the next thing we want to do is that we want the next building to have 3 sections, so which is BB4. So inside BB4 we are going to add 3 new div elements like so, and then we want to give each one of them a class attribute. So I'll say class, the value is going to be BB4A, BB4B, and then BB4C. So I'll just copy and paste this and then change the value here from BB4A to B, and then this one to C, like so. Now back to our styles.css. We want to give the new div element we just added some width and height property. So let's start with BB4A. Let's have a width. The value is going to be 3%. And then for the height, we want to give it a value of 10%. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing for the B and C. So for the B, the width is going to be a value of 80%. And then for the height, we are going to have a value of 5%. Now let's go to the C. C will have a value of 100% width and 85% height. Okay. Wait. Let's change the name from A to C. So the next thing we want to do now is to remove the background color from BB4 and add it to these 3 new sessions. So only the sessions are filled. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this one here. Let's remove it. Now as you can see, it's a plain shape. So we are going to add it to A, B, and C to fill it up. All right, there you go. Now we want BB4 to share the properties of BB1 that center the sections. So instead of going ahead to write it all over again for BB4, we just want to create a new class above the background building comment, and we are going to call it building wrap. Okay, so we'll just create a new class. Let's call it building wrap, and for now we are going to leave it empty, but as we go on we'll add some code to it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to move the display, flex direction, and align items property we want to move it from bb1 and add it to the new class that we created, which is building wrap. So I'm going to take this one from here and then move it all the way to the new class we just created, like so. Okay, so now as you can see, this was centered earlier, but since we've removed it from bb1, it's no longer centered. It has shifted to the left, okay, just as we have it here. So the way we're going to fix that so that all of it will be centered is that we are going to add the new building wrap class that we created. We are going to add it to bb1, that is in our HTML. We are going to add it to bb1 like so, and then also we want to add it to bb4. So you see, since I've added it, it's now center aligned again, and we also want to add it to bb4, and as you can see, bb4 is also center aligned. All right, now let's go on to create some new variables. Once again, we are creating it in the root selector. So this new variable, let's call it window color 4, and then the value of window color 4 is going to be this right here. Okay, so this is going to be the secondary color for the last building. Okay, so what we want to do is nest 4 new elements, new div elements, of course, like so, 4 of them, and want to nest them inside for bb4c. Now we are going to give all of them a class. The value of the class is going to be bb4-window. Okay, so we want 4 of them, so I'm just going to use the shortcut, which is Option Shift or Alt Shift if you are on Windows, and then press down to create 4 of them. Okay, so now let's give bb4 window class a width of 18%. So I'll say .bb4-window, and then I'll give it a width value of 18%, and I'll also give it a height value of 90%. Then we want to add the window color 4 as the background color. So I'll say background color. Then to use a variable, we have to use the var keyword, bring our parentheses, and then inside the parentheses, write the name of the variable. In this case, the name of the variable is window color 4. Okay. All right. Now, as you can see, it's very small here, but when you look closely, you can see the secondary color applied to it. Okay, so now moving on, the windows are stacked on top of each other at the left of the section behind the purple building. So as you can see, this is it, but they are stacked on top of each other, so they are hidden behind this purple building we have here. So we want to add a new class below building wrap called window wrap. So let's add this new class called window-wrap. Okay, then what we want to do is we want to make this window wrap a flexbox container. So we'll say display, we'll give it a value of flex. Also, we want to use the align items and justify content properties to center its child element vertically. So first, let's work on align items. We'll give it a value of center. So we want to center each child element vertically, and we want them to be evenly spaced in their parent respectively as well. So what we'll do is we'll say align item center, and then for justify content, we are going to give it a value of space dash evenly. All right. Now you won't see any difference because we haven't added the window wrap property to the window wrap class, sorry, not property, the window wrap class to our HTML yet. Okay, so now inside our HTML, let's go ahead and add the window wrap class to BB4C. So we'll add it like so. And once I add it, you see that the windows are aligned in the center like so. And the spaces between them are also even. Okay. All right, so the next thing we want to do is on the foreground buildings, we want to turn the FB1 building into 3 sessions. And the way we are going to do that is by nesting. So let's nest 3 new div elements within it, okay, and give them the class of FB1A, B, and C in that order. So I'll say class, give it a value of FB1A. I'm just going to copy this, change this one from FB1A to FB1C, then to FB1B, and change this one from A to C like so. All right, now let's give them a width and height property. So I'll say dot FB1B. So I want to give FB1B a width. So we'll have a width of 60%. 60%. And then let's give it a height also of 10%. Okay. Now let's work on FB1C. FB1C. We want to give it a height. Sorry, let's do the width first. The width is going to be 100%. The height is going to be 80%. Okay. The next thing we want to do is to add the building wrap class that we created earlier. We also want to add it to FB1 as well. Now let's see what happens when we add it to it. All right, so as you can see, the shapes are centered or aligned in the center. Now let's move the background color property and value from FB1 to FB1B. So this one right here, let's move it. Let's send it to FB1B like so. Okay, so now the rest of the building is a plain shape. So we'll work on that as we move on. Yeah, so like I said earlier, don't worry about the space at the bottom. We will move everything down later when you add some height to the elements at the top of the building. All right, but for now, let's add a repeating linear gradient. So we'll say background, repeating linear gradient. Let's bring our parentheses, and then inside our parentheses, the first thing we want to do is to add the direction. So in this case, the direction will be 90 degrees. Bring your comma. The next thing you want to add is the first color. So the color is going to be building color 4. So it's a variable. So we'll bring var parenthesis. We'll say building color 4. And then want it to move from 0% to 10%. So say 0% to 10%, like so. Then bring a comma. And we also want it to be transparent from 10% to 15%. Okay, so let's say transparent 10%, 15%. Okay. Now, as you can see, so we have the first color that we added, which is building color 4, and then we have the transparent stripes also. And the reason why we are getting the stripes effect is because it's a repeating linear gradient, so it would work its way from the beginning all the way to the end. Okay, so for FB1C, we are also going to do something similar. We want to add, we want to add a repeating linear gradient to FB1C below the one that's already there. Okay, so let's add a new one. We'll say background, repeating linear gradient. For this one, we want to use building color 4 as the first color. So we'll say var building color 4, and then want it from okay, so let me bring the semicolon here. So let me copy this. So we want it from 0% to 10%. So I'll give the first one 0%, 10%. And then the second color is going to be window color 4, which will move from 10% to 90%. So let's do that. Window color 4, 10% to 90%. Yeah, 90%. This will fill in the gradient. This will fill in behind the gradient you added last. But that's not happening. Okay, so something is wrong. You should not alter the first repeating linear gradient. Actually, I haven't altered it. You know what? I'll copy this and then let me reset the lesson. Okay, so you can add multiple gradients to an element by separating them with a comma like this. Okay, so the way I was doing it earlier was not the right way. So I need to add a comma here. Okay, and then I can go ahead and add another repeating linear gradient like so. Okay, then since it's the same colors, I'll just copy this. Okay, so the first is going to be 0, and the second is going to be, so 0% to 10%. Okay, so 0% to 10%. The next one is going to be window color 4, yeah, from 10% to window color for 90%. Okay, I think this should work. Okay, but it's still not working. You could use a second color of window color 4 from 10% to 90%. Okay, so I need to remove this last comma here. All right, okay, so now it's working. As you can see, we have the transparency is being filled in with window color 4 here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to use some more border tricks at the top, and that way it will add a border bottom with the value of what we have here to the FB1A. Okay, so first let's select the FB1A element like so, and then let's add the property border bottom to it. The value is going to be 7VH for the size. The style is going to be solid. Then the color is going to be building color 4, like so. All right. So this will put a 7VH height border at the bottom. Since the element has 0 side, it only shows up as a 2 pixels wide line from the 1 pixel border that's on all elements. So as you can see, we have this tiny line here. Okay, then finally in this lesson, we want to look at step 80. So when you increase the size of the left and right borders, the border on the bottom will expand to be the width of the combined left and right border width. Okay, so first let's add 2VW as the value of the border left. So let's say border left, let's say 2VW solid transparent. Okay, so as you can see, a shift, we have this border left that looks sort of like a triangle, and then we also add a border right property as well. So I'll just duplicate this, and then I'll call it border right. Okay, so now we have the same thing also on the right, so it's sort of like a triangle on top of the building. Yeah, they will be invisible, but it will make the border on the bottom wide, which is 4VW. So the border at the bottom is wide. That's why we have it pointed at the top, and then as it drops down, it gets wider and wider till it reaches a value of 4V width. All right, so we can end this one here. And yeah, so finally, when we are done, this is what we want to get. But for now, what we have is this colorful skyline here. Yeah, so we'll continue in the next one. Bye for now.